Bill Laird,
Here.
Paul Nelson,
Here.
Scott Severson,
Here.
Councilman Vasquez, Councilwoman Harris. All right, you have a quorum.
Okay. So do we have any new business? Is that what it's supposed to? Or we just go with the dockets?
Yeah, the dockets are the new business.
Start with SM 260008 NIPSCO.
Hello. We've seen you once or twice.
Yes. Thanks for having me. My name's Rachel from 801 East 86th Avenue in Maribel.
All right, I'll go ahead and give my staff report. So, docket number SM 26-008 through docket number SM-0011 are all a part of the same project. So I'll give the project like the general project details with this first staff report, and then the next ones I'll go for the more specific with each regulated drain. So this first docket is the applicant is NIPSCO, and they're proposing to install a new underground fiber optic utility within the regulated drainage easement associated with Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch as a part of their fiber utility project from Babcock Substation to Stillwell Substation. As you can see on the screen here, this particular portion of the project will be along County Road 400 North, about 1,300 feet west of County Road 325 West, and 1,400 feet east of County Road 325 West. So the applicant is proposing to place two new fiber optic utilities within the regulated drainage easement associated with and crossing Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch. The work will include the installation of a new 2-inch Duraline Future Path 4-way conduit via horizontal directional drilling. They are proposing to install the conduit on the north side of County Road 400 North from Meadowbrook Drive to County Road 325 East, running parallel with Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch, which is an open drain. That portion of the project will be within the regulated drainage easement for approximately 620 feet. I would like to note that it's difficult to discern the location of the fiber optic utility in relation to Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch. If the proposed cable is to be installed along the center line of ditch or under Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch, then the cable shall be installed with a minimum of 5 feet separation from the invert of Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch. If the proposed cable is to be installed along the top of bank, then the cable shall be installed a minimum of 5 feet south of the southern top of bank to provide adequate cover from the side slopes of Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch and to prevent a conflict between the proposed cable and potential stream bank repairs. Additionally, a handpole will be installed between Meadowbrook Drive and Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch, approximately 40 feet from the center line of ditch of Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch. The next location, the applicant is proposing to place a new conduit on the south side of County Road 400 North. Melissa, if you go to the previous slide, please, which is the Plan View B on the bottom of your screen. So they're proposing to install that conduit on the south side of County Road 400 North near 349 East 400 North, and they'll cross Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch with a minimum of 5 feet separation from the invert to the cable. As shown on the erosion control plans, temporary perimeter sediment control will be installed around the work area to prevent sediment transport to Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch. At this time, staff recommends approval of the 2-inch Duraline Future Path 4-way conduit within the regulated drainage easement associated with and crossing Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch. The standard terms and conditions apply, including the execution of a hold harmless agreement. In making it an application to conduct the proposed work, the applicant has agreed to restore any disturbance to a condition as good or better than that found prior to the commencement of work. Staff also recommends the following special provision be applied to this project. Contact the department at least 72 hours prior to the start of work within the regulated drainage easement so that staff may be present during the performance of the work. Staff notes that the applicant will need to obtain a permit for any work conducted within the road's rights of way. And that concludes my staff report. I do not.
Comments or?
Will the cable be installed under Flint Lake Garden Terrace ditch along that portion between Meadowbrook Drive, the eastern portion, the western portion of the work? Or will it be along the top of the bank? Do you know?
I believe it's underneath.
Which I don't have an issue with that if it's that 5 feet separation.
Yes. Yeah.
Question?
Do you have a specific contact you'd like me to get in touch with prior to construction?
You can just send it to me.
Okay.
Get it out to our staff.
I guess those in favor? Or any questions? You've done that part, right?
Let me can we vote on all together? Like
The 7 or the 3?
all the NIPSCO ones together?
They're in a separate document.
So are you, Mr. Chairman, you asking for a motion for the approval? Or motion for,
Yeah.
because I'll motion to approve the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that's for the first 3, correct?
No, that is just for docket number SM26-000.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Did all 3. All right, so then we go to 009. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Did we do it in favor?
Yes, we did.
We did. Okay.
We did.
Sorry.
So this
Right.
is the intersection of 400 East. Right.
Yes, and
Put on that.
in State Road 2. So this one is crossing Hutton Ditch Arm 2. If you go to the next slide, please, Melissa. You'll see the area on your screen where they are proposing to conduct the work. If you go to the next slide, please. You'll see that they are proposing to install this fiber optic utility on the east side of County Road 400 East and the north side of State Road 2. And a portion of this work will be in the regulated drainage easement associated with Hutton Ditch Arm 2. Staff it doesn't appear that this work will impact the regulated drain or cross the regulated drain, but like I said, a portion of it will be within the regulated drainage easement. Additionally, no handholds or those receiving and jack and bore pits will be located within the regulated drainage easement, so there'll be pretty minimal impacts as far as disturbance, but that utility will be within the regulated drainage easement associated with Hutton Ditch Arm 2. So staff recommends the approval of the installation of the Duraline Future Path 4-way conduit within the regulated drainage easement associated with Hutton Ditch Arm 2, including the standard terms with the execution of a hold harmless agreement and the same special provision that the applicant contact the department 72 hours prior to the start of work within the regulated drainage easement.
Do you have any questions?
I did not.
Any comments? Questions? Motion?
I move that we approve SM-26-0009.
Second?
I'll second.
Passed. Now we go to 0010.
We didn't vote.
We didn't do it all.
We didn't vote, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, procedurally, you should do it all in favor or opposed.
Yes, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, so we on to the next one?
Yeah.
260010.
Yes. So this is along County Road 400 North, approximately 800 feet east of State Road 2, crossing Hutton Ditch Arm 1. So NIPSCO will be installing the fiber optic utility via horizontal directional drilling under Hutton Ditch Arm 1 with a minimum 5 feet of separation distance from the invert to the fiber optic utility cable. Temporary perimeter sediment control will be installed around the work area to prevent the transport of sediment. At this time, staff recommends the approval of the 2-inch Duraline Future Path 4-way conduit with the standard terms and conditions, including the execution of a hold harmless agreement and the same special provision that the applicant contact the department at least 72 hours prior to the start of work within the regulated drainage easement.
Questions? Comments? We have
I move that we approve SM-26-0010.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. We go on to the next one, 260011.
Yeah, and I would like to make a note for the record, Councilman Vasquez has joined the meeting as well.
Present.
And then, so this docket number, NIPSCO is proposing to install the fiber optic utility along County Road 400 North, approximately 3,300 feet east of County Road 575 East. They will install that new fiber optic utility under Crooked Creek, which is an open drain. It will be conducted via horizontal directional drilling on the north side of County Road 400 North, with a minimum of 5 feet of separation distance between the invert of Crooked Creek and the new fiber optic utility. Staff recommends the approval of the installation of the 2-inch Durline Future Path 4-way conduit with the standard terms and conditions, including the execution of a hold harmless agreement and the following special provision: that the applicant contact the department at least 72 hours prior to the start of work within the regulated easement.
Questions? Comments?
I got actually one question, and this is for all of them. Is NIPSCO actually doing the boring, or do you have a contractor doing it?
We will have a contractor.
So does the contractor have to be noted here, or no?
They do not need to be noted in the engineering plans, but when we send out our environmental compliance plan, all of these factors are included in that plan, and they have to sign off on that,
Okay.
saying that they understand the rule.
Can you just explain what you're doing in the area, just so we have context of?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the key things that we do to increase reliability across our substations is connect them with an underground fiber route. There is almost an underground fiber route connecting all the substations, and or will be by 2028, likely, depending on project variation. But the goal is so that the substations can communicate with each other. So if there is ever an equipment failure, a different substation adjacent can pick up the feed so that customers do not lose power.
Okay.
They're closed systems, so only NIPSCO is able to contact each other. There's no like outside source. Nobody else can get this feed. But one of the reasons that we install the 4-way conduit when we put it in is so that if there ever is another project or we need to tie into that, we don't have to run an entire new line. We can
Good idea.
borrow one of the other 3 slots. Yeah.
How do you communicate with the substations now?
The microwave towers?
Oh, okay.
Those are secure, more secure.
Yes. It's part of it's definitely more secure, but part of the FERC licensing does require reliability, so that's part of the operations as well.
I have,
I move that we approve SM-26-0011.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, passes. And now we're down to 26-0012.
So this one is different. So this is, the applicant is NIPSCO. They are proposing to retire an existing gas main and install a new 6-inch plastic gas main under Phillips Ditch. And this is at the intersection of State Road 8 and County Road 150 West to accommodate the State Road 8 small structure replacement project. The applicant is proposing to place one new gas main under Phillips Ditch, which is an open drain, to accommodate the recently approved NDOT small structure replacement project carrying State Road 8 over Phillips Ditch. The work will include the installation of a new 6-inch plastic medium density polyethylene medium pressure gas main via horizontal directional drilling. The applicant is also proposing the abandonment in place of the existing 3-inch plastic gas main within the regulated drainage easement. A minimum 6 feet of separation distance between the proposed new 6-inch gas main and the proposed reinforced concrete box structure will be provided per the construction plans. The jack and receiving bore pits will be located outside the regulated drainage easement. At this time, staff recommends approval for the abandonment in place of the existing 3-inch gas main and the installation of the proposed 6-inch gas main under Phillips Ditch and within the regulated drainage easement associated with Phillips Ditch. The standard terms and conditions shall apply, including the execution of a hold harmless agreement between the applicant and Porter County. Staff also recommends the following special provision be applied to the project. Contact the department at least 72 hours prior to the start of work within the regulated. And that concludes my staff report.
Any questions? Comments?
The existing 3-inch, what does that abandonment look like? Does that get cut, purged, capped?
Yes, they will cap it in place. Yeah.
Okay.
They do testing on all of the abandoned pipe also to make sure that it's not predating any, I forget what's in there. They have like contaminants. Sometimes they can be in like very old
Sure.
pipes, so they do test them all
Okay.
first.
Do they
Make sure.
move the pipe or they just leave it there?
They will remove it if it is contaminated.
Otherwise,
It just stays in the ground. I think that's pretty much the norm for abandoned
pretty-
pipe.
it-
Yeah,
but it's purged, correct? So there'll be no gas.
correct. There will be no gas in it. It will
It's
be
a-
capped.
If Dad's like,
Yes. Yeah. No pressure. Empty.
perfect.
Yes.
On 4th of July.
We don't need that. No. We don't need that press. No, thank you.
I agree with you. It'd be perfect to remove, but it's not practical. There's still a possibility using it for conduit or bypassing.
Yeah.
Right.
Will it be in conflict with the NDOT structure that's being replaced? So will that portion be removed?
The portion that is in contact with NDOT structure will be removed.
Okay.
Yep.
So the portion through the regulated drain will be removed.
I do have a question. Anything that we leave in the ground that is no longer used, is that documented someplace so that
I believe it comes back in the engineering plans when they sign off. The public improvement projects are a little different than the projects that I typically work on. I don't know if they all. Well, every project at NIPSCO does get an engineering like red line drawing of what happened and then submitted. I just don't know the timeline they get them back in the gas sector for these types of projects. But if that is something that you guys would be interested in seeing, I can definitely make note of that.
Are they typically pretty close to one another?
Yes.
My recommendation is to get the as-built so you have that.
Yeah, we typically have as-builts for records.
Telephone companies particularly are notorious for that. That we've got multiple lines that we don't know if they're good anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, and providing as-built drawings are a standard term and condition with the application.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought I usually see that in the application.
And the as-built includes abandoned lines. And
Yes.
I move that we approve SM-26-26-0012.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and finally we have SR 26.
So the applicant is NIPSCO. They're proposing to retire and replace an existing utility pole and as-needed tree trimming crossing Ludington Ditch Arm 16 along County Road 200 West. The particular project location nearest address is 394 South, 200 West. The applicant is proposing to retire and install one new utility pole on the west side of County Road 200 West within the regulated drainage easement associated with Ludington Ditch Arm 16, which is a closed drain or a drain tile. This is a part of the TDSIC PRP Valparaiso PK 1713 utility improvement project. Construction access to auger the hole and install the new pole will remain from County Road 200 West. Pole 441-084 appears to be located north of Ludington Ditch Arm 16, which is a 12-inch vitrified clay tile or VCT drain tile. The proposed pole placement is approximately 2 feet south of the existing utility pole location. Any damage to Ludington Ditch Arm 16 caused by the installation of the new utility pole shall be repaired by the applicant. Melissa, if you could please go to the previous slide, sorry. So that little darker blue line that's in the center of the blue shading, that's the center line of easement. Staff has done some drain tile flagging in this location, and the drain tile does fall fairly close to the center line in this location. So we don't foresee any conflicts, but just noting that if your pole location changes or if you do encounter the drain tile, please contact us and the NIPSCO will have to repair that drain tile.
Okay. Would you like to see potholing ahead of time for this project?
I don't think it's necessary, not with us knowing where the drain tile is.
Okay.
And I also don't think that would really be practical for your scope of work to pothole where you're going to auger the hole. So it might compromise the integrity of the utility pole. So staff recommends the approval of the existing utility pole as well as the removal I'm sorry. Staff recommends the approval of the removal of the existing utility pole and installation of the proposed utility pole within the regulated drainage easement associated with Ludington Ditch Arm 16. The standard terms and conditions apply, including the execution of a hold harmless agreement. Staff also recommends that the following special provision apply to the project. Contact the department at least 72 hours prior to the start of work within the regulated drainage easement. And staff notes that you'll also need to obtain a permit for any work conducted within the road right of way. Yep. And that concludes my staff report.
Any questions or comments?
I just have a general question. What necessitates having to retire an existing pole and replacing it with something new? What?
Typically, there's been damage to the pole, or the pole is from like 1942 and it's an original, and there's and they're just looking to update. We do change the standards every now and again for how the poles are placed in the ground, how they seal at the base, or just like where we are sourcing the poles from. So sometimes we just retire the old ones in order to do that. So all the letters that you read at the beginning of this project, the TDISC is the type of program that this is under. So that's for the state guided program. PRP just stands for pole replacement program. So when you start to see them, it's that's kind of how they're broken up. There's just a lot of alphabet letters, but usually it's pole replacement program. If you see the WT, it's the worst tap, or WC is the worst circuit.
Mm-hmm.
But just so when you read them, that might help with some context.
Any other questions?
I move that we approve SM-26-0013.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that one passed. So I guess all that's left is the manager's report.
Yeah, and Rachel, all these cases will be presented to the Stormwater Management Board at their meeting on June 23rd at 9 a.m. You're welcome to attend, but it's not required. And the hold harmless agreement will be sent to the project contacts following that meeting.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for being here. All right, and then for my program manager's report, I just would like to provide an update with our capital improvement project, P26-024 for Rolling Meadows subdivision, the Stormwater Management System Improvements Project, Phase 1. You'll see the small location map at the top of the screen. This just gives a general project location. We are between Aberdeen and Sherwood Forest subdivision, just off of County Road 325 West and just south of County Road 100 North. And then the larger location map at the bottom of the screen, the red boxes that are along the fingers of the street, as I call it, subdivision. This is the limits of the storm sewer replacement. So I've talked about this project before, but just a reminder, we are installing all new storm sewer from the detention basin at the far eastern limits along Angelica Drive. So the southeastern portion, or the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, that last red box there. And then that will be 30-inch concrete storm sewer. And then it reduces down to 12-inch storm sewer as we move further west, or to the left-hand side of the screen along Lagira Drive. So construction started beginning of May, so a couple of weeks ago. So if you go to the next slide, please, Melissa. Here are some pictures of the installation. This is at the intersection of Angelica and Lagira. These were taken last Thursday. So that manhole that you see there, that is a 72-inch manhole, so a 6-foot diameter manhole. The going underneath the stone piles, or the right-hand picture going into the manhole, that is the 30-inch concrete storm sewer. And then you can see the picture on the left, the small inlet with the 12-inch concrete pipe coming in. So once it stops raining now this week, they'll get out of this intersection. It is, once they get this portion of work started, they need to have really good dry weather for a day. That way they don't shut down Lagira and Angelica and get themselves into quite the pickle. So the minimal work was done today, but like I said, once we get a little bit of a drier weather day, they'll get out of this intersection and then move down along Lagira. Gary Construction is the contractor. So far, the work has progressed well. And then we have Burke Engineering on site. They were the engineers of record and designers, and we have part-time construction observation with them. So, so far things have been going well. So I will knock on wood that way. It's
What's the estimated life of a system like this?
50 years is what they say, but I think 100 would not be reasonable. And we are doing so our standard bedding and initial backfill. So there's 4 inches, well, underneath the 36-inch or underneath the 30-inch pipe is 6 inches of bedding, and then the minimum bedding as we go to the 12 inch is 3 inches, and then 1 foot of 8 inches of number 8 stone above the top of pipe, and then backfill with 53s, and then our asphalt. So a nice stone envelope surrounding the pipe, which increase the service life.
What was the previous size?
So that is, and I'm sure Kevin can can provide some more history with this. So when the subdivision was developed, it was developed in 1999. The minimum or the maximum pipe size was the 18-inch pipe, and that is along the east side of Angelica Court. And then after people started moving in, there was flooding at the intersection. So then the drainage board completed a project and installed a 30-inch HDPE pipe on the east side of Angelica. The existing storm sewers within the parkway and not where we're crossing are going to be abandoned in place by filling them with flowable fill grout.
The preliminary work on this was done by my predecessor, who also happened to be county surveyor, but he undersized that long pipe, and that resulted in surcharge. And one of the first things I did was calculate, or did the hydraulic and hydrologic calculations for that, because it's a particularly wet area. It's interesting that this land was owned by a man that did septic systems. So they were doing sludge disposal on the site, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it just tended to make this area even wetter than it already was. And then we had surcharge right at the intersection. And by coincidence, the owner of that house at the intersection was our former building commissioner.
Oh my gosh.
It put the NIPSCO transformer underwater about 4 feet. So that whole intersection was about 2.5, maybe even 3 feet deep at times. It was awful. The pond was undersized as well toward the east, so that was excavated to its limits because there were houses built. We didn't have any more room to.
Yeah.
So we excavated out, probably increased the pond by about 50% as far as capacity. But yeah, the 30-inch, and then it was even more troubling. Our highway engineer kept a pretty close eye on found that the guy who had even installed that had left the gaskets off. We found them in the pond. So we got that correct. It was one thing after the other with this. It's been a challenge and it hasn't improved. The other thing is all of these septic systems, I believe, require subsurface drainage. So we have a lot of plastic pipe out there, single wall, and it tends to crush or joints fall apart, and it's a product of the day. Um, I love it when my friends who sell plastic pipes say, "Well, this is permanent." It's permanent in that it's going to be in the ground forever. It doesn't deteriorate or degrade, but it does deform terribly. It'll split, it'll crack, it'll break up. But with concrete, that's not so much a problem.
I think that's a good segue into my next point with this. So this is phase one. So the really what initiated this was the some drainage concerns regarding rear yard flooding and septic system backup caused by those perimeter drain tiles and the high groundwater levels. As I was going through and designing that was a resolution for that drainage concern. We televised this portion of the storm sewer, and it was heart shaped pipe is not supposed to be shaped like a heart. So that's where we realized that, okay, phase one needs to be reconstruct the storm sewer, get that in good condition, have a functioning outlet that's not going to result in sinkholes. And then from there, our future phases will be reconstructing the master tiles down those fingers of the streets through those rear yards. And then a little bit of detention basin outlet structure maintenance needs to happen, but that's going to be a small minor project that will complete after this.
What's the total projected timeline?
Well, there's what, 3 streets, so I think so this will be done this year, and then in future years it would be doing one master tile at a time to help phase it out work through the entire county. So I would say we'll probably be done here in 5 to 7 years.
So when do they start seeing relief? When it's complete, or
The people with the flooding in the rear yard, yeah, they'll see relief when that new master tile is constructed. Now, I think they might have an opportunity to see some temporary relief now because any tiles that were connected into the old storm sewer will be connected in here, and we'll also have stubs coming off of this storm sewer, or the manhole placement is where those future master tiles will be installed. So there's an opportunity to connect those existing tiles in, and that might provide them to be free flowing. But I mean, it's not like the existing storm sewer was clogged, so I don't really foresee that happening. But
You will have positive outlet, and that's a good thing here. And remember what I said about the soils, because the sludge application is very organic soils. Maybe good for the grass, but not really good for the idea of using for septic design. And the interesting thing is, today we really adhere to the bedding rules and requirements. And when she was referring to hardship, I think she might be talking about Chelsea, where you talk about the deflection upward at the bottom that will split the.
no, it's actually from the top. So the pipe has crushed from the top, and that's where you get the collapse in the top of the pipe.
I've seen it both ways. I'm
Sure.
really intrigued.
Yeah.
Bulges upward and cracks down the center, and it's literally impossible to find. You have to cut out the top of the pipe. I've done that a number of times, but just largely because bedding was inadequate or inappropriate.
Well, this looks definitely big enough to handle a lot of water. It's well bedded.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And then we are using this as a joint project with the highway department as well. So our stormwater portion of the work, where we disturb the pavement, it will be paved to the intermediate course. And then the highway department is going to come through and resurface or mill and resurface the remaining streets, and then place surface on our portion of the work as well as asphalt surface. So that's a cost savings for us out of the stormwater fund, and then working with the highway department to try to team up on these type of projects as we go through this. So, and with that, that concludes my program manager's report.
okay, any discussion? Sounds good to me. The next meeting is July 13th this year, and it's at 5 o'clock as usual. Recess.
We need a motion there.
I don't think we need a
Motion to adjourn.
I have the motion to recess.
You can, I know Scott's.
Okay, I didn't realize. I can motion it.
Technically, the chair's not supposed to make one.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
July 13th.
Learning. Okay,
Then
all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Good.
All right.
Stand in recess.
We're in
Thank you.